So you're ready to build your first smoker, but you really don't have a place to do it in, right? Well, on today's podcast, we're going to talk about that, how to build your first smoker if you don't have a shop. Stay tuned. You're listening to the PitMaster Secrets podcast. Hey guys, we're back again. Actually, I'm still here. We're doing several podcasts in a row. But anyway, we had to run and get some materials today. Scott jumped in the truck with me, and we figured we might as well do something while we're driving. So here we are. We're talking about, what are you going to do with yourself if you want to build a pit and you don't have a place to actually do it in? So like a shop or a garage or anything like that. So we're going to go over a few tips on like what I tell people when they come at me with that reason for having a tough time getting started on their pit. So like, the first thing is like, let's talk about some basic tools, because like we don't just need a shop, we also need some stuff to do it with. Because in my mind, shop means I've got equipment and a place, right? So, some basic tools you're gonna have in this location that you do it. You're gonna have to be able to use a torch. You're gonna have to be able to use some kind of a welder, and you're gonna need some kind of a grinder with a cutting wheel, right? So on the torch, you don't really need a huge cut and torch operation. There's other equipment that's more effective, like plasma cutters and stuff, but we're starting this thing out on a shoestring budget. We don't want to go out and break the bank. And you can get one of those little go to Home Depot, go to Lowe's, whatever, and they've got these little portable cutting torch outfits with small tanks. That might be ideal for what you're doing. I mean, you're not going to be cutting material really thicker than 1/4 of an inch most of the time, so a small torch would handle that. And you're not going to really have a place to store this torch necessarily, so something small and compact that you can run in and out of the garage or basement, or maybe you've got a shed out back or something that you can keep it in. So I recommend starting off with a small brazing cutting oxyacetylene torch outfit. There's a little bit of money there. The bottles are included. The first bottles are included with the kit, with the torch and everything. And then you take them, they're empty when you buy it. You take them and get them exchanged and get them filled. But they're personally owned, so you don't have any rental or nothing on them. That's a great place to start for cutting most material, like your doors, your tank, and all that stuff. If you needed bigger bottles, you can always upgrade and get an adapter that hooks up to that same torch that runs a slightly larger bottle. So that's actually what I started with. And for a welder, there's all different kinds of welders you can get. For the sake of argument, we're going to start off with the cheapest thing. So for $300-400 at some place like Harbor Freight, Northern Tool, different places like that, even some online stores, you can come up with, or you can even find a used one, something around the 140 to 150 amp, 180 amp welding machine. You can get like just a flux core, MIG welder. That's gonna not require a gas bottle. It will work just fine. There's a little bit of a trick to using it, but it's a good weld when you lay it down. As a matter of fact, you'll probably have better capacity with flux core welding than you would with a smaller amp machine on, running what's called hardwire with shielding gas. So, you'll be fine with a little welder like that. I know for a fact I've seen even cheaper ones than that, but I don't know that I would go that route. So anyway, get yourself a cheap welder that'll run hopefully dual voltage, or at least higher amps on 120 will be probably in the 180 range. And then for a grinder, like, think about if you've got a torch, you can handle most of your cutting with the torch. You can cut round bar, you can cut flat bar, you can cut plate, you can cut pipe with your torch. So you're gonna have a lot more cleanup to do using a torch. So you're gonna wanna have some kind of a really good grinder just to kind of slick things down, get a good fit and finish and everything on your joints. So you can use like a DeWalt grinder. They're pretty cheap at most big box stores. You can also get a good one from Harbor Freight. I think they're called Chicago Tools. It's a good starting point, and that's what this is all about, is getting started. So don't snub your nose at cheap tools. Then you can also get a wide range of grinding discs and things at Harbor Freight, in places like that. Try a few different ones out and see what works best for you, buy a selection. The one thing I do want to caution you about is if you intend to use that grinder with any kind of a cutting disc, I strongly recommend you do not do that. While you could do it and get away with it, there's some huge safety concerns with the discs shattering and coming apart. If you're gonna do that, then spend a little bit more money on your grinder and get a Metabo brand grinder with a clutch in the wheel. That way the wheel binds up and stops turning instead of shattering. You can find out more about that on Metabo's website. They've got lots of literature about it. Anyway, so there's that. As far as the rest of your program here, getting your shop put together, we got to talk about the environment a little bit, like where you're working. So if you don't really have anything at all, there's nothing saying you can't just start right in your driveway. There's a few handy ways to be able to do that. You might have a garage at your house. You can do a lot in a small garage. Like our first shop, we were doing production in a 13 by 13 shop. It's totally doable. You just have to know how to operate, how to get your stuff put together to where you're not tripping over yourself or causing an unsafe situation in your home. So, using your home garage is fine. You could also buddy deal your way into using your buddy's shop. You might have a buddy that has a small shop somewhere that he uses during the week, but on after hours or weekends or something like that, he might open it up to you and let you use it. Kind of the bonus with that is, you would have a couple of extra tools that maybe he owns. We got to get gas. Anyway, so, buddy's shop is always a good idea. Now, as far as like the actual working on it in that environment, we got to talk about like storage and stuff like that. So what are we going to do in that situation? Well, we have to do like something to cover our materials with if we're going to be out in the driveway. We've got different things we can do there, like a tent, for instance. You can get a 10 by 20 tent at like Sam's Club or different places like that affordably. Those things can be put up and taken down at whenever you need to. And, you can also use tarps or any other kind of cover that can just it's quick to put up and quick to take down. Now, the benefit with a tent is that you're going to be able to work under that tent. You can roll the sides up, you'll have some air moving through there. You'll be in the shade. That'll be awful handy, working like that. And then for storing your tools and things like that, you can get these garden lockers at like Lowe's, Home Depot, stuff like that. They're super cheap. They're made out of plastic, whatever. You snap them together. They're fairly rainproof, so you can keep like your grinders and all that kind of stuff in that small container. And sorry, I had to back up. I just realized. You can keep all your tools and some of your smaller materials and grinding discs and stuff like that in one of those lockers, or a job box. You can find those online pretty cheap, that kind of stuff. So anyway, those are a few tips for you guys to get started. Building if you don't have a shop. There's a lot of pits built in the driveway all over the place. So don't let that get in your way. And one other thing that might help you here when you're starting your journey building your first smoker is if you go to SmokerBuilderMFG.com, at the very top of the page, there's a red bar there. It says online course. Click on that right there, or you can look for it in the description of this podcast. And that's a Build With Us online course. And what that is it's literally an online course teaching you the step-by-step with video how to build a pit. You know, it teaches you some basic fabrication skills, even shows you stuff like some advanced tool operating like CNC plasma tables and stuff. And you know, we're going step-by-step through an entire build that will teach you how to build a pit just like us. So if you need other help, give us a call or go to our Facebook group, SmokerBuilder Forums group online. And anyway, like and subscribe to the podcast. Please leave us a review. We appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.